I was reading some winners and losers from the Dolphins-Falcons game on Friday night. This is from finfanatic.com. Finfanatic.com. Here are some of the winners, Crowder, and then we'll get to the losers. Tanner Connor. Connor played his best football since joining the Dolphins as a pro. Yes, it's preseason, but he was blocking well, was able to work the field and get open. He made the most of his opportunities and looked to put a little space between himself and Jody Fortson. Didn't you have a bet on the game, Solana?
Yeah, so you had taken 2 or more passing touchdowns. I took 2 or more rushing touchdowns by the Miami Dolphins.
All right, so neither of us were winners on Friday. Crowder, you were the only winner. You didn't bet.
Hey.
By the way, Tanner Connor got hurt in that game because he looked really good. And I need to double check this, but I believe just reading what Mike McDaniel said today, he's going to be out for some time. Not, season-ending injury, but I believe he will be out for some time. I'll double check that right now.
All right, more from finfanatic.com. Winner, Ethan Bonner. Bonner is having one of the best camps of any player, and he showed fans that the hype is real. Bonner consistently made plays and was able to break his coverage to make tackles or hold up the ball carrier. Bonner may not have outright won a roster spot, but he is going to make it very hard for the Dolphins to cut him. I'm rooting for him for obvious reasons. Winner, Storm Duck and Patrick McMorris. Jimmy, a big fan of Storm Duck, by the way.
Let's go.
A couple of emojis. That was a storm and a duck.
That's never been done before.
McMorris was drafted in the 7th round, and no one expects him to make a big impact on the roster, but he made plays when he was in the game, and that is all you could ask of a young guy trying to make a football team. As for Duck, the undrafted rookie was all over the field and made plays. He remains a bit of a long shot to make the roster, but his showing versus Atlanta was a clear indication that he is going to fight for a spot. And then finally, final winner from finfanatic.com, Patrick Paul. Hard to look at Paul and find a reason to be remotely critical. Paul played almost the entire game, and he did very well. Using the strength in his legs, Paul was able to push defenders around, and when they were faster than him, his long arms helped keep them at bay. Paul gained a lot of experience, and this one, he will get more reps in the final 2 preseason games while the Dolphins keep Teron Armstead off the field. Physically, that guy should be a difference maker.
One of the most important developmental points in the Dolphin franchise is Patrick Paul. If you find a left tackle that big that can have feet work and keep Tua upright, even Teron Armstead's amazing, but he's going to get hurt. Patrick Paul's development means a lot to the success of the Dolphins in this season.
I would agree with that. And then from finfanatic.com, a couple of losers. Willie Snead. Snead didn't impress anyone, and what makes it worse is that announcer Kim Bokamper mentioned that he had struggled with catching passes in practice. That isn't something you would expect from a veteran wideout. Snead is far from a lock to make the roster and didn't do himself any favors in his first Miami appearance. He did have a case of the dropsies, they like to say.
You're a receiver and can't catch. I'm telling you, you're a safety.
And then the other loser they have is Mike White. White came in against the deeper Atlanta Falcons roster and did nothing to show that he deserved the backup job behind Tua. Skylar Thompson didn't have a great game either, but White's game was worse. The Dolphins may need to look outside of the team to find an answer. Neither quarterback looked like a player fans will have confidence in should Tua go down. We kind of talked about that, but very few teams have someone that you have a lot of confidence in that could, take over. And it happens, though. It happens. Sometimes you get a backup and he comes in. He does very well for however long he has to come in. We've seen Mike White. We've seen Skylar Thompson. I kind of feel like we know who they are. Neither of them look great, but I said at the beginning of the show, I don't think the receivers did them any favors. Like, they were dropping balls left and right.
Yeah, the receivers were less impressive than the quarterbacks, but I thought Mike White was one of those. You know what? It's funny. Ryan Fitzpatrick types. Ryan's not going to win you a Super Bowl, but he'll go in there and hold a game down, hold two
You
games
feel
down.
confident. He comes in, or you know that he's got to play 2-3 weeks in a row. You feel confident with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
You're good. And with Mike White, Ryan Fitzpatrick, same way. Like, I felt that way. I'm starting to lose that in Mike White. Hearing about it, reading about it, like Mike White's not going out there and doing that backup, I'm going to check the ball down 4 times, take a big shot, and then hand the ball off. Like, I know what backup quarterbacks are supposed to be, and Mike White's starting to lose my confidence a little bit.
To me, the bigger issue is not this preseason game, because you're right, Hawk. The conditions weren't great. The field, by the way, was a big loser.
Man. Usually their field is spot on.
Stephen Ross bought the turf company, literally. Like, he bought it, and it was weird. My issue is not the preseason game per se, but it's the fact that he didn't beat out Skylar Thompson in training camp, and the entire training camp since day one, which, by the way, let's not forget, Tua Tagovailoa was not participating the first 3 days of practice. So Mike White got those first-team reps and was throwing to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, like he's throwing to the A1s, and he didn't beat out Skylar Thompson. You're paying him a decent chunk of change to be the backup quarterback, to be the guy Crowder just described, and he can't beat out Skylar Thompson. To me, that's worrisome, man.
Yeah, it's still early, though. I mean, it's still early. There's been one preseason game. You've got 3-4 weeks till the season starts.
But, I mean, it's 4 weeks into training camp or 3 weeks into training camp. And Hawk, this is his second year in this offense. Like, it's not like he's new, because then you give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, he's been here two full seasons already,
and he's not early in his life. Like, he's been in the league a while. Like, you should be able to fall in and know what to do well and what not. You're not going to throw for 450 a game, Mike White. Go get you 220, get you 1 touchdown, have a 70% completion percentage, get some third downs converted.
Your receivers have to be able to catch passes when you're throwing them, accurately.
But watching Mike White now and reading about what he did, and then like Skylar. It's funny, I made fun of Solana because I just think he falls in love with names. But everything we read, like, Skylar's really moving. He's extending plays. He's making you say, damn, if this was a real game, he might have been able to score there. Where Mike White, I haven't read or seen anything to be like, damn, Mike, nice. That was cool. Like, you're just not seeing it. And I thought I thought we'd see a lot more out of Mike. He's a South Florida guy. I know his dad, baseball family. Like, I know all of them. But Mike White, I was on his side, and I'm starting to lose it a little bit.
Because he could have been an NFL starter, I believe. I don't think he had to come to the Dolphins to be a backup. I think he could have been a starter somewhere. That's how much hype he had coming out of New York.
Yeah, because he had that month stretch where he balled, and I thought I was going to see the Mike White I watched on TV, and now I'm watching him in person, and I'm like, damn, he might have the South Beach flu.
Or was Zach Wilson really that much of a D-bag?
That was
Zach
Wilson is bad.
Yeah, I mean, aside from him being bad, like, the team was wearing "I Love Mike White" T-shirts in New York. Like, was Zach Wilson that much of a D-bag? Hawk, you can blame the receivers all you want, and you're right. But 4 of 14, 26 yards and a half, and the Dolphins scored on 1 of his 6 series, and it was a 42 or 45-yard field goal.
Don't get it twisted. I'm not telling you that he had a game that made you feel like, he's itching for that starting job. Like, he didn't look good out there, but neither did Skylar. But I'm telling you, none of the receivers did him any favors. There were a couple of dimes that he threw that just were flat out dropped.
But you would agree, somebody getting paid $4 million to be a backup quarterback should have beaten out Skylar Thompson in training camp and should have started that game on Friday night. And he didn't.
McDaniel, though, if I remember correctly, he did this last season as well. So I think Saturday night, Mike White will start and Skylar will be the backup.
No, I think Tua will start. I think game 2, from how McDaniel's handled preseason going back to his first year and last year, game 2 is the dress rehearsal. That could change, by the way. I'm not telling you any inside information here, but just based on precedent with Mike McDaniel, game 2 is usually the dress rehearsal where we'll see Tua Tagovailoa. It's what they did last year in Houston.
That game is what, 7 o'clock Saturday?
Yeah, against Washington here at Hard Rock Stadium.
All right. And then the final preseason game will be on the road.
Yeah, is it Jacksonville? I think it's Jacksonville. I have it here.
Jacksonville.
Oh, no, Tampa Bay. Excuse me. Tampa
Jacksonville's
Bay.
the season opener.
Right. Tampa Bay, August 23rd at 7:30 p.m. It's a Friday night.
Jaden Daniels was throwing some pinky dinks out there last week.
What's a
What do you think of Michael Penix?
He had one good throw. He was, but now I watched the Pat McAfee show. They broke down these rookie quarterbacks to a point that I got nauseous watching, and they were playing 10 plays. They watched every single play, every step of every rookie quarterback. It made J.J. McCarthy look like Joe Namath. It was crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz about him. Caleb Williams had some dimes.
Caleb can play. I told you, bro, Caleb is special. Bo Nix, did you see what Bo Nix did? Oh, and he's behind Zach Wilson on the depth chart. Zach Wilson needs to go home and just eat some marshmallows. He's not touching the football field this year.